Hello fellow Esperholics. So I want to first break down why I wasn't able to get this review out so fast, and that's because there was a lot of audio issues and there's not a lot of footage I can use of Scalar off of YouTube, so that's why. So with that out of the way, I'll talk about my thoughts on Scalar. Scalar, a shape-shifting chameleon, or as I like to call him, Scalar the Super Saiyan. He honestly looks like Vegeta. He really does. Anyway, Scalar the game was made by A&M Take-Two Interactive and some other random ass company called Global Star Software. Basically, Scalar is a game being made by people we don't really know about, so there's not a lot of reputation going behind it. The game is basically just a generic platformer with your stereotypical cocky and really confident 90s kind of hero character. So one of the biggest issues of Scalar is that actually the meat of the story is in the instruction booklet and not told in the cutscenes, unlike most games in the early 2000s. Basically, the story goes like this. There is a boy who loves wizards and protests abuse on wizards, who finds out that his next door neighbors are actually wizards in disguise as humans trying to find out about our world before they send super soldiers from their dimension to take over our dimension, with some of these people being well-known people in his town, and one of them being from the military, and they're part of an organization or something. The scientist that created the portal to their dimension disappeared many years ago and has been there ever since and has ties to the main character. He then gets caught and is then interrogated by these people, and that's when the cutscene picks up where the game instruction booklet left off. Of introducing Bobby Jenkins now being electrocuted. That's totally fun. Let's electrocute a 10-year-old little boy. I think it's like 10 or 12, but whatever. And they're trying to interrogate him, and Bobby's the sarcastic douche who just insults people trying to be cool, but he comes off as annoying, and he's extremely ugly. I hate his face. He looks ugly, he has giant ass shoes and giant ass feet, and his face is freaking terrifying. I hate his face, I hate his eyeballs, I hate his irises, and his stupid ass macaroni shaped hair. I actually like him better as a wizard. I feel like that was the most intentional, really. I feel like he could have looked better if he looked like this. Through the power of Photoshop, I made him actually not hideous. But yeah, this is the guy that we're supposed to be rooting for. He's a sarcastic douche who just tries to insult everybody to come off as a cool person, but really he's annoying and he's stupid. And on top of being an obnoxious jackass, he apparently really likes being electrocuted, making him a masochist. So, as Bobby, the crazy-ass douche, likes being electrocuted over and over and over, the game's main antagonist is already there, with a stupid name, Luger. Yes, that's his real name. Telling the military guy to stop letting Bobby insult him and just interrogate him again, which he does by turning up the electricity even higher, which turns him into a wizard. Bobby, now as his alter ego Scalar, makes his escape and then goes to the wizard dimension, and then that's when the story really begins. Scalar, being a 3D platformer, does what any person would in this situation. He ends up in an alternate wizard dimension, thinks it's a dream at first, and then decides to go beat the ever-living crap out of anything that's in front of his face, like the environment. So he, as a platformer character, will maneuver over obstacles in his way and have a stupid double jump. The double jump looks like he's flapping his arms in the air. It looks really, really dumb. Anyway, he also will grind on vines, similar to how Sonic the Hedgehog grinds on rails. The obstacles get more and more challenging as you progress throughout the game, especially towards the end, where vines break apart and go extremely fast like a roller coaster by the end, and will actually make you have to go to different vines completely and dodge other obstacles. I only wish he had more animations. He has like I think 3 or 4, which is a back flip, a front flip, a flip where he grabs his leg, and that's really it. But it's alright though. Scalar also has a time whip attack that's useful for stunning enemies and also killing the weaker enemies. He also has a 3 claw attack combo, but you can't extend it into a 4th hit. If you press the attack button again while in the air, he will then do a downward swipe, making you now have 4 hits. This extra fourth hit can be extremely useful for when you're taking on the stronger enemies in the game. So as Scalar runs around the jungle collecting those little yellow orbs called cloakies, he runs into another wizard who explains to him that it's so important for him to collect the eggs at the end of each level, because if not, Luger will use the eggs to transform the wizards inside to become super soldiers, so that the super soldiers can then take over the dimensions within the multiverse and eventually our dimension. The wizard who is going to help you is also very important and also has the name Leon, which is very important to Scalar.
That was my father's name. He left us when I was young.
Oh, that's rough, kid.
So with Leon now at his side, he starts to collect the eggs and hopes that he can get them before Luger does. The eggs are basically like this game's equivalent of stars at the end of each level, like in Super Mario 64. And there's only like, I think 20 of them in the whole game, so the game's pretty short and there's not that many levels. You also need to collect crystal gems, 10 per level, and 100 in total, in order to unlock the alternate ending of Scalar, which is apparently really corny to the point even the instruction booklet mentions it as a cheesy Hollywood ending for the game. And as you progress throughout the game, you will upgrade Scalar's abilities. He sadly does not unlock new abilities as you progress, but instead will upgrade his current abilities with the exception of one. You unlock camouflage towards the end of the game, but other than that, you simply upgrade his normal attacks, including his electric bomb attack. That's why it's so important to collect the cloakies so you can upgrade Scalar's abilities through that Rapidactyl that pukes on you. Which is actually great because every time she pukes on you for the bomb, electric bomb, you get an extended little counter. So then you can use the bomb from 1 time to 2 times to eventually I think like 4 or 5 by the end of the game. It's also especially useful for actually stunning stronger enemies towards the end of the game. You also charge the electric bomb by grinding on vines over and over throughout the game. This will be extremely useful for when the game gets harder and you need the electric bomb a lot. While we're still on the subject of attacking, notice those gold spikes on Scalar's arms? You might be wondering, why can't you use those? Well, that's because they're for style, just to look cool. Kinda dumb. He might as well not even have them, considering that was actually one of his character designs at one point. So as Scalar runs around like an idiot, you'll go throughout the game and run into what are these arena battles where, although they do pop up throughout most of the game, you will also run into them when you're unlocking a new form for Scalar. Why can he transform into different creatures? I don't know. It would be nice if the game had some kind of continuity where, because of him being a chameleon in this dimension, chameleons are shapeshifters. I don't know, but whatever. I guess that goes without saying and is an assumption they would think we would make. The first transformation you trigger is some creature called a Bakudan. By killing it over and over, you somehow then gain the ability to become one yourself. Bakudans are these kind of cute little monsters that have the ability to throw this ball that's actually a bomb at the same time. And it's pretty much like a grenade. You can actually choose when to detonate it and to kill your foes. It's great for killing enemies at long range and great to keep a safe distance from them if they're too dangerous. Now you may have thought I was exaggerating when I said killing its race, but I wasn't. When you actually kill the original version of these sort of mini-boss creatures, you become them. That's it. They're extinct, Scalar's taken over, and they don't come back after that. Pretty morbid. So the next race you bring to extinction after that is a ball-like creature called the Croc. They're used for only 2 levels, and they do at least make the game less linear by allowing you to branch off into 2 different pathways. And they're used mainly for time trial mini games to help you get more wizard eggs. And you get to then grind on rails even faster, and really, for the most part, that's really it. There's not a lot you can do with it. And it does have the tendency to get flown everywhere by recoiling into other enemies. Like, it's ridiculous how the knockback is for the croc. It just goes flying if it gets launched into something, and that makes some of the mini games kind of challenging, but other than that, that's really it for the croc. The next species you take over is a species called the Duzum, where you finally gain the ability to fly, which is something I really like in video games. Sadly, it is only used in one level called Meduzum, where you go through stupid freaking rings like Superman 64 and shoot sonic booms out of its mouth. It can also pick up speed and fly faster. It's this weird dolphin bat hybrid thing that's really cool. I just wish they were able to do more with it. The next transformation you unlock is called the Fruzar, which is this weird reptilian creature with a sort of fin sticking out of its head that allow it to shoot projectiles out of its mouth, which is great for killing people at a distance. And it lets you also enter a first-person mode to take down enemies really far away, so that's really neat. And it's also used to solve puzzles. It also can whip its tail around to attack enemies that are way too close, and it's used mainly towards the last few levels of the game, so you know you're getting a lot of progress when you unlock him. The fifth and final transformation you unlock by killing its race is called the Swoon. It's this weird penguin sort of seal thing with duck feet and a tail and bunny ears, and you only use it for one level, just like the Duzum, and you get it to swim underwater, dodge mines, and it has a little belly slide you can use when it's on land to kill enemies. It's actually pretty fun when you're underwater and you use it to do mini games, just like with the croc and the Duzum, in order to unlock eggs. But that's really it. You don't really get to use it a lot, and it's not that useful. The next ability I want to cover is climbing up walls, which is a nice perspective change, as Gamer can't see that far ahead of him and you have to kill these spider enemies and also avoid these giant snakes that can kill Scaler if he takes too many hits. It's really fun and adds a sense of variety to the gameplay, so I like it a lot. Now with the gameplay covered, I'll talk about the graphics, which actually look pretty good for a game made in 2004. There's a lot of detail put into the textures, and just the overall colors in the game looks very, very nice. And this applies to both the characters and the environment. Even though the textures on the characters are kind of pixelated, I feel like that is fitting considering they're lizards. So as much as I like Scaler, now we are going to rip this game apart and talk about why, as much as I like it, Scaler still kind of sucks. The music in Scaler is not that good either. There's only a few songs I honestly remember throughout the entire game, and the music is way too loud. It has a lot of sound balancing issues, similarly to Sonic Adventure 2, and how the music drowns out the audio. The only songs I remember throughout the entire game are 4. The main menu music, the final boss music because of how obnoxiously loud it is, the second level, and the first level of the game. And then on top of that, the only one that immediately sticks out to me when I think of this game is the first level. It's actually the music you've been hearing throughout this entire review, which I'm going to let you actually listen to right now. So on top of having a mediocre soundtrack, which is a shame because I actually like that kind of tribal jungle kind of music, the boss fights freaking suck ass. There are only 3 that I actually like. The first boss you fight, which is actually one of those super soldiers I mentioned way before in the review, which you never see ever again by the way, is pretty fun. And then the next one after that's being when you fight Boots Camp, the big wizard, and the final boss are the only ones that I like. And then the next one after the first boss sucks ass, where every single one of Luger's henchmen try to kill you, but they all use one attack pattern, if you can even call it that, because it's not even a pattern. It's one animation over and over and over, which is stupid. The only one I actually like is the one that is able to shoot this greenish fire gas at you, which if it touches Scalar, it's toxic and it slows him down. Like, and on top of that, it's a very repetitive, you know, classic staple of platformers. The boss that just shoots something at the jump over. That's so cliche. So it sucks. Then we also have this stupid crab enemy, which does the same animation over and over and over, and then shoots out these little mini robot crabs after you when you just shoot them over and over. It's really annoying. And then the final boss, the final freaking boss of the game, really sucks ass, and he is stupid. He wants to, you know, collect the eggs from Scalar and use them to turn into super soldiers, but it's like, why didn't he go get them himself? He's stupid. So the final boss is now that you have to try to kill him. And they actually try to make this interesting and challenging. You have tons of little phases to go through in the boss fight, and he tries to kill Scalar. And he makes you jump over electricity, which is very challenging and hard because it's like jump rope. Luger also indirectly helps you by actually letting you charge your electricity to hurt him as he tries to electrocute you on the floor. So he's supposed to be really intimidating, but he's not. He's stupid. He can summon monsters, but you can kill them really quickly. And then on top of that, he at one point summons this squeaky toy monster that has like a squeaky toy attached to its head. So needless to say, this boss fight sucks. He actually does get more aggressive when you take down his first health bar, and actually does try to crush Scalar, so that's cool. But even then, he's still really, really stupid. And why does he just stand there, you know, flexing his arms on his waist like that, looking all cool? Like, why does he do that? He's stupid. He looks stupid. Like, stop doing that and try to kill me. And even when he does try to crush Scalar, he's too big and he can't hit you. Like, you think he'll be able to just choke Scalar and smash him onto the ground? Especially because one of the other minion characters is a dragon that can float in the air, and he actually does that to Scalar, yet the final boss doesn't. So that's kind of lame that he doesn't really actually hit you any time in the boss fight. And then he has a really stupid phrase he says at the end of the game, which makes no sense at all. It's really, really funny.
I am the superpower. It is my destiny.
As if that wasn't bad enough, Scalar himself isn't taking this seriously, saying things like, "Oh, I'm so scared," not when you fight Luger one-on-one. So if even he's not the least bit intimidated by this guy, why should we be, you know? But what's even more of a slap in the face is that everything you go through kind of feels like it was all for nothing. See, when you beat the game normally, Scalar Bobby ends up back in his dimension, but he loses his dad, which is spoilers, Leon, because coincidences don't exist in video games or fiction. So you don't get to see him ever again. And then the quote-unquote better happy ending is Bobby going back to the human reality, but in an alternate dimension where he and his dad are together and his dad never left. But his dad, the scientist, still has an interest in going to the wizard dimension, so he was going to go there regardless of what you did, making everything you went through pointless. So the quote-unquote happy ending is actually even worse, in my opinion. So despite everything I've said, I still think Scalar is actually pretty good. There's a lot of effort that was put into this game, and you can really tell. Scalar has different idle animations and voice clips used for every single level in the game, as well as different animations for every single egg you collect. So you can tell a lot of effort was put into mainly Scalar himself. Another issue is that the story is really all over the place. It comes off as really serious at times, like when Leon is remembering Bobby, and that he even flashes back to his wife saying, "Hey, if we have a son, let's name him Bobby. What do you think of the name Bobby?" To then having really silly and stupid dialogue to the point the tone is just all over the place. You can also kill people with stealth using the camouflage so the enemies can't see you and you kill them from behind, so that's pretty cool too. all in all, Skyward just has a lot of effort put into it, but it's lacking in certain areas. The levels look beautiful, the colors are really pretty, there's a lot of particle effects everywhere, even little animals that are just in the background just to give levels a bit more life. So, all in all, Skyward is actually a pretty good game. There's a lot of effort and time that put into it. It's just a okay, pretty good platformer. So, all in all, I would still recommend picking it up. Just don't expect some like AAA grand amazing game. It's just okay. But that's alright with me. So this is AS for Gaming going away, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Bye.